Welcome back to Midlife Revamped and happy 2026. As I look back on the previous year, I feel proud of what I accomplished and surprisingly, even a little grateful for the decisions that didn't work out. With some distance, I've come to appreciate how much growth can happen in the midst of uncertainty. Tracking and reflecting on the small goals I set for myself has become something of a personal ritual, and it's helped me recognize progress during the year. This summary is part reflection, part recap, and an honest look at what life looked like behind the scenes for me. The beginning of 2025 was scary and stressful, marking what I later came to understand as the end of my full time caregiving journey. My mother lives with dementia, specifically Alzheimer's. Nearly 7 million people in America are affected by this disease, yet, unless you've been directly impacted, it's nearly impossible to understand the full scope of what it demands. In March, we received news that felt like an answer to our prayers. We moved my mom into a memory care group home, and it quickly became clear that it was the best decision for both of us, all of us. She was better supported and surrounded by people trained to meet her needs. For me, it meant stepping out of constant crisis mode and the feeling of guilt and beginning the slow process of a new chapter. What followed was the emotionally difficult task of emptying her home, renovating it, and hoping we'd find a good tenant. The process took about 5 months and required more emotional energy than I anticipated. But little by little, things began to fall into place. The house was cleared out, her belongings were either donated to nonprofits I wanted to support or hauled away by a junk removal service. Finally, we were able to hand the keys over to my mom's very first tenant. March also brought another major shift. My employer made the difficult decision to sunset his small business, bringing my short lived full time position to an end and sending me back into the familiar, discouraging world of unemployment. While I was able to maintain a part time position with another company, the uncertainty of not knowing what came next was a constant presence in the background of everyday life. Despite everything, life continued. I kept searching for a full time position while maintaining our home, preparing for my oldest to graduate high school, and supporting my youngest through his many extracurricular activities. Like so many people managing a household, I continued the mental load of figuring out what's for dinner and making sure we didn't run out of toilet paper. Oh, and how about that one time our water shut off? Yep, I couldn't have possibly forgotten to pay the bill if it's on automatic payment, could I? Well, it turns out that when you receive a new credit card with a new expiration date, you're supposed to notify all of those companies. Lesson learned. I also made a conscious effort to stay connected with friends, and this one was tough. If you're in your 40s and your friends are too, you know how difficult it can be to carve out time away from family, responsibilities, and packed schedules just to make plans and actually follow through. Still, I know how important those connections are, and I always feel great after meeting up with my friends. Somewhere in the midst of all this, I committed to a new hobby, sourdough baking. By the end of 2025, I had baked 122 loaves. I share that number with genuine excitement and pride because sourdough baking is not for the impatient. None of my loaves ever completely died, but many were far from perfect in the beginning. And what's the big deal about sourdough anyway? The process can take more than a full day from start to finish. It begins with maintaining an active starter, feeding it, waiting for it to rise, and watching for those bubbles. From there, the starter is combined with flour and other ingredients, followed by a series of stretch and folds to build structure. After a long bulk fermentation on the counter, the dough rests again, often for 8 hours or more, before it's finally baked. Only then do you find out whether all the previous steps worked. It's an exercise in patience and perseverance, a way to nurture my creative side, and a tangible way to nourish my family. Because of this commitment, I didn't buy a single loaf of bread all year long. I also set a modest reading goal of 18 books, intentionally keeping it manageable so it wouldn't feel like another obligation. Reading became a quiet form of escape and restoration, and by the end of the year, I had read 34 books. This year, I'm setting my goal at 30 and looking forward to discovering new authors and stories along the way. In August, I accepted a very entry level position and knew almost immediately that I'd made the wrong decision. Still, my need to give things a fair chance and to see something through kept me there longer than I should have stayed. By the second month, I found myself sinking into a constant sense of despair, paired with the belief that this was somehow all I was worthy of. After saying, "This is the final straw," one too many times, I finally submitted my resignation. Making half of my previous salary while being gaslit on a daily basis was not how I wanted to spend my time, my energy, or this season of life. Finally, staying active has been a journey of its own. Ironically, I studied kinesiology and fitness management in college, yet it wasn't until I began noticing the physical effects of midlife that movement became truly intentional. Weightlifting and consistent activity are no longer about aesthetics, they're about strength, longevity, and feeling capable in a body that continues to change. I've heard many people say that 2025 wasn't their best year, and I can definitely relate. It was challenging, unpredictable, and emotionally heavy. Still, when I look at it honestly, I see resilience, growth, and quiet wins that matter deeply. I'm choosing to believe that the year ahead will be better, not because it will be easier, but because I'm stepping into it with more clarity, self trust, and intention. Wishing you peace, love, and hope, and meaningful connections with the people who matter the most to you. Happy 2026. Cheers.